Well, our final day of OTA is getting to watch practice. The Browns will hold one more OTA practice on Thursday, but the big story happened before we went out to the practice field on Wednesday here, and that is the extensions of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Long-awaited extensions, Mary Kay. I know people were getting a little bit antsy. We would get questions about it in our Hey Mary Kay pods all the time. So now we have an answer. The extensions are done. Andrew and Kevin are here to stay.
It's so great for the Cleveland Browns to have the continuity of these guys for the next how many ever years? We're not sure. It's probably about 5, but they've gone to 2 playoffs, and Kevin Stefanski has made NFL Defensive Coach of the Year 2 times in their 4 years together already. They're on the right track. They're poised this year to perhaps go all the way. And I did ask Kevin about that. I said, you guys have accomplished a lot, but I'm assuming you still have more work to do. And he said there is one big thing that we still want. We all know what that is. It's the Super Bowl. They're going for it.
Yeah, and I think along those lines, Ashley, they've sort of established a floor here. Now, there's stability. They've established the floor of what this franchise can expect and what they can be. And now it's about trying to reach that ceiling, which is Kevin, even though maybe he didn't say the word, as Kevin sort of danced around, is winning the Super Bowl, being a championship caliber organization. It's one of the hardest steps to take in sports, but now they're going to have an opportunity to take that step.
Yeah, and I think, again, just knowing that stability is going to be here, that's kind of a weight off of everyone's back, including Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry especially. But I do think, again, it just shows how far this organization has come in really a relatively short amount of time when you consider that we're not all that far removed from 0-16, the 1-31 double years. So again, I just think it represents stability that hasn't been here since the team came back.
Now the next biggest story happened after practice, and that was when we got to hear from Nick Chubb for the first time actually since his season ended all the way back in week 2. We got a little update on his rehab, kind of where he's at. He didn't want to put an exact return date on where he is, Mary Kay, but it was just sort of good to finally hear from Nick.
It really was. We have not talked to Nick since he suffered that season-ending knee injury in week 2 of last year. He doesn't really love to talk to the media, but he did a really good job today answering all of our questions. And one of the things that I did ask him, is he motivated by all of his doubters who do not believe he's going to be able to come back from this second major knee injury? And he said absolutely, he is motivated by that. He said it's not the first time people have counted me out, and we know that for sure. This happened back when he was at Georgia. So I think that fuels him. I think it's one of the reasons why he's here every day working out, not in OTAs, but inside the building. And I think that people can expect to see Nick Chubb on the field at some point this season.
Yeah, and Ashley, again, we don't know what Nick Chubb is going to look like, but if you wouldn't put anything past the guy, right? Like Mary Kay, you mentioned when you were talking to him, his kind of hero Batman, right? You don't put anything past that guy. You don't put anything past Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I think 100% if there's a guy who's going to overcome the odds with an injury like this, it is Nick Chubb. And like Mary Kay said, it's largely because he's done this before when he had his first knee construction when he was still at Georgia. I thought it was really interesting today how he talked about that, because it sounded like it was kind of good for him to have that path to follow, to kind of know how this is going to go. But it was a double-edged sword, too, because he made the comment about knowing all the work it was going to take to get back. But he's closer to the end than to the beginning of that, at least for right now, and it did give him kind of that path to follow.
So Deshaun Watson didn't throw today. Dorian Thompson-Robinson did. So Mary Kay, that's a significant step forward for the second-year guy.
It really is. In part, one of the things it does, it gives the Browns the opportunity to not have to go out and sign another quarterback for camp. They need as many camp arms as they can get, especially with Deshaun Watson still limited. He didn't do anything today. I really don't think that he's going to be doing much more at minicamp than we've seen him do at OTAs, maybe a little bit more. But it's good that now Dorian can get out there and do some things. They have some more help for camp.
Yeah, it is all about getting through those reps. And look, there's probably still this vision, Ashley, of wanting Dorian to eventually be a long-term backup. So getting him on the field, getting him more work matters.
Yeah, and I saw Dorian, he was doing what we saw him do a lot last year, too, where even if he wasn't in a drill, he was right there next to Deshaun Watson taking the mental reps. I know I got some video of that. I'm sure we all did, because he was doing it quite a bit. It seemed like every time I looked over there and he wasn't actually throwing a football, he was going through those extra steps. So, again, I think with these rookies, it maybe just takes them some time to grow up, to adapt. He's had an injury that he's fighting with that kind of added to that growing process for him, I think. But it could be big if they envision him being that long-term backup guy, the steps he's taking right now.
All right, there's no gray area in this next topic. You either absolutely are outraged by it or you don't care. Actually, that's not true. There is gray area. So, week 3 of OTAs, mandatory minicamp next week. We thought maybe there would be an uptick in attendance, Mary Kay, especially because we saw some players at the golf outing on Monday that hadn't been here. But again, today here we were at OTAs and there were a number of veterans missing. Of course, the most prominent, we haven't seen him out here, is Myles Garrett. But you look across that defense, Juan Thornhill was not here. Grant Delpa was not here today. On the offensive side, the top of the receiving core outside of Elijah Moore was not here. So still a lot of veterans missing.
Yeah, and I really did think that a couple more guys would show up today because they have some things going on this weekend. They've got David Njoku's softball game. David Njoku didn't even show up today. So no David, no Amari, no Jerry Jeudy today. I'm sure these guys have their great reasons, and we might not have to worry about it down the road when they abolish the whole thing. But for now, no Myles and some of the other big-name guys.
Yeah, it is an optional program, Ashley. Obviously, these guys can choose to come if they want to, but we've also talked a little bit about sometimes maybe sending that message, acting like maybe you haven't quite accomplished anything yet. So again, it's just mixed. Some people outraged by it, some people just don't care. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, but again, I would like to see some more of these veterans show up.
Yeah, 100%. I was surprised just because of the other things logistically that they have going on this week that more didn't come today. But I do think it is about, if you do have a lot of people and good attendance, it's about sending that message, it's about bonding, it's about acclimating the new guys, the rookies, the new free agents, all that stuff. So for me, those are the benefits and why I'm always interested when guys aren't here, even though it is voluntary.
Well, it's not voluntary starting next week. They will have mandatory minicamp, so we should get a look at the entire roster. We'll cover everything that happened today. There was a lot, and of course everything leading into next week, all at cleveland.com/Browns.